I spent many years in investigations, 30 plus years as a high-level investigator. So childhood for me was different than most people you probably come across. I did face a lot of obstacles as far as race goes. I had been beaten up and I was unconscious with the word Paki written on my forehead. But when you ask, did certain things lead me down this path to being masculine, that was one of them. And I had to learn quite early how to defend myself. I was just a walking target. I decided I'm gonna have to learn to defend myself and not take shit from people. I don't want this path to continue. I didn't grow up with a lot of masculinity around me. For the longest time, for most of my life, I turned into being a people pleaser. So I was Mr. Nice Guy, never causing waves, never causing ripples, being a good, polite person, and always just flying under the radar. And then I realized that this is not serving me. My sense of self-worth was limited. Men are too busy trying to put down other men at all times. If you want to be in a group of masculine men, and you better be ready to be called out, and you better be ready to call out, no matter how uncomfortable it may seem. Porn is not real. It's superficial, it's fake. Get a real woman who loves you, and this will be out of this world. Disconnect yourself from social media, first of all. Do something valuable. Take up a sport, take up a martial art, take up firearms. As far as I'm concerned, you should always be living your best life now.
This is David Buurma, your host for ShowUpNation, and we have Manish, and we met at a gun range. One thing I noticed last little bit is that we're a little bit different, right? You and I, compared to the normal person you meet.
Sure, yeah.
What I noticed the last little while is that we can read each other quite quickly. I don't know you probably much more than spending a half an hour talking to each other at the gun range. And I already know the type of person you are.
Right.
And we can read people quickly. I know you can read me quickly. And I'm curious about that. Has that changed for you over the years that you can read people quicker and you know where they're coming from? And the fact that you're so comfortable coming on this podcast and you thought it was important to come on this podcast without really even knowing much about me, how did that happen? How'd that show up in your life? I'm kind of curious.
So for me, I spent many years in investigations. 30 plus years as a high-level investigator. So I'm pretty good at reading people. But more than that, there's just this a synergy. When you come across someone who's like-minded and believes in the same things and the same values, it just kind of clicks. And it's just like a light or a halo goes off above that person. And it's like, wow, I bet you if I talk to this guy, we have a lot in common.
Take us back, Manish, to your childhood. What now today I see you, dominant masculine guy that's clear and directive and all that kind of stuff. Were you always that way? Or what was childhood like that, maybe brought you along that way? What was that like?
So childhood for me was different than most people you probably come across. Being an East Indian who was born in East Africa, I was born in Kenya, and then our family came here as refugees in the early 70s because of the Idi Amin situation in East Africa, where all the Southeast Asians were essentially kicked out of Uganda.
Hold on. This blows my mind. So you're East Indian background. You were living in where?
I was born in Kenya. My dad was born in Uganda, and we lived in East Africa.
Wow. And which country?
Well, like I said, I was born in Kenya, but my dad's family lived in Uganda.
Wow. And you were living at the time that you moved to Canada. Where were you living?
I was living in Mombasa with my mom and her family because my dad had already come here. My dad wasn't there to see me born.
Oh, wow.
I didn't meet my dad till I was 2 years old.
Wow. And so what was going on in the conflict at that point in time? What was happening?
So there's a dictator whose name was Idi Amin.
From which country?
In Uganda.
In Uganda.
There was a movie based on him called The Last King of Scotland.
I watched this documentary. He was one of the most ruthless people in Africa for almost forever.
Exactly. He was a murderous prick.
Wow. How was it possible to move? And why he was killing off people? What was he going after again?
So Uganda was very prosperous. Indians owned a lot of the businesses and the coffee estates and the tea plantations, and they ran the economy, and it was a very prosperous country. Idi Amin had mental issues due to his various sexually transmitted diseases that he had, and he somehow got the idea that this country, even though it's doing very well with East Indians owning the businesses and hiring the local blacks to work there, that we shouldn't have that. It's not our country. And that all of that should be reserved for them. And so he basically mandated that all the Southeast Asians need to leave within X number of years. So my mom went to Kenya, next door country, to stay where her parents were. My dad got on a flight to Canada as a refugee.
Wow.
And he saw many horrible, horrible things while he was there. People hanging from rafters with their ears and their tongues cut out because Idi Amin was a cannibal. He and his my great uncle, his uncle, was a very successful lawyer and barrister, and they were driving in his BMW out for a drive, and all of a sudden the military pulled him over, and they said, whose car is this? And my great uncle said, well, it's my car. He said, not anymore. This is now Idi Amin Dada's car. Took him out at gunpoint, and yeah, it was just a very nasty situation there.
But your dad would have been African, right? Or no, he was also India.
He's Indian.
Oh, he is also.
But he was born in
I got it.
Uganda.
Wow. That's incredible. So then your dad came over first.
That's right.
Because he would have been more susceptible to being killed than your mother and you. Would that be correct?
That's the assumption. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. And is your dad still alive?
Yes, he is.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow. That's cool. And he lives close by to you still?
Yeah.
Oh wow. How much do you think that made your makeup, even that past history, as to who you are today?
When I was young, I didn't realize.
Right.
But as I started getting older and connecting the dots, it's why I have such a passion for firearms, because one of the first things Idi Amin did was disarm the population so they couldn't fight back. My family had firearms to protect themselves from wildlife, lions, and people.
Yeah.
And the first thing he did was disarm the population, and then he started killing them.
Wow. And so I think what happens is that quite often in history we forget history.
Yeah.
And we forget that this is a typical journey that most rulers do, because if they want control of the public, they take whatever they have to protect themselves away from them.
That's right.
That's correct?
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting how we so quickly forget history, right? Or we don't pay attention. We get lazy, right?
Right. And history has shown us time and time again that when evil wants to take over, the first thing they do is disarm the populace.
Interesting. So you're born in Uganda.
In Kenya. I was born in
Kenya. And now you've been raised a whole life in southwestern Ontario, or where?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. And so tell me now, you had brothers and sisters. How was life like in Canada? What was life like for you in Canada?
I have a sister. She's 5 years younger than me.
Okay.
We grew up with not a lot of money. Like I said, we came here as refugees. It's funny, the government stuck us way up north in Kapuskasing. And it was just the ignorance of, at the time, of ethnicities, right? And they said, okay, well, these people are Indians. Well, we have a lot of Indians in northern Ontario. They'll get along, right? That's how ignorant they were. And of course, Kapuskasing, being 12 hours north of Toronto kind of thing, was not the ideal place for people from a warm climate to come to. And it certainly was, the people were super friendly. My dad has amazing stories of Canadians who just embraced him and were just very Canadian to him, right? Now, mixed amongst that, of course, we're gonna have some racism too, right? And I felt a lot of that. We moved to Waterloo. My dad worked for a laboratory,
okay.
And that laboratory was based in Kapuskasing because my dad had a background in textile chemistry, a degree in textile chemistry, and the person who ran that laboratory got a university grant at the University of Waterloo. So he said, well, who wants to move to Waterloo? We said, yeah. My parents did. Yeah. My mom hated it up there. You can't buy any Indian groceries or spices or anything you need up there. And my parents were very young then. They were in their early 20s.
Oh, wow.
Right? So they would have to take a trek down to Toronto to get stuff they need to eat Indian food.
Well, not for everybody to know. 12 hours north and you go to Canada, that's a no man's land typically. Like everybody lives in the bottom,
Right.
10% of Canada, right? So,
Right.
yeah.
And so, anyway, we moved to Waterloo, and Kitchener-Waterloo being predominantly German at the time, I did face a lot of obstacles as far as race goes, and there was one time I was in kindergarten, and my grandmother was here. She was watching my sister because my sister was a newborn. My parents were both at work, and I went to school in the mornings, and I walked home for lunch, and my grandmother would make me lunch. One day I didn't show up, and my grandmother called my parents and said, hey, he hasn't shown up. So my parents left work, and they came, and they couldn't find me. And they called the police. And long story short, I was found, I had been beaten up, and I was unconscious with the word Paki written on my forehead.
Oh, wow.
Right. Now, I don't have charge on that. I've dealt with that. Everything that happens in the past.
What age were you then?
Kindergarten, so 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you hardly remember it.
No, I don't remember
Yeah.
much at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
But when you ask, did certain things lead me down this path to
Right.
being masculine, that was one of them. And I had to learn quite early how to defend myself. I was just a walking target. And again, I'm not saying this from a victim point of view.
Sure.
It just is what it is.
Right.
And so it was in grade 7 and 8 when I started getting a little bit bigger in size, and I decided I'm going to have to learn to defend myself and not take shit from people, because I don't want this path to continue. It was so bad that in grade 4, the principal had to assign a grade 6 student to walk home with me because there were bullies from other older schools around who would see a brown kid and say, oh, okay, Packy, and beat me up, right? Again, I don't have charge on that.
No, right.
It's all stuff that, the past is the past.
Definitely
right?
forms you as a person.
Yeah. And so that's why it kind of, these days when people talk about racism and microaggressions and, wow, it's just, yeah.
It's not what it was, or what?
I think people become oversensitive.
Right.
And overprotected.
Do you think that's happening still to kids today? What happened to you in Canada?
It's hard to say. I know for a fact that my kids didn't experience that sort of thing.
Okay.
In fact, the culture had changed by then to the fact that it was cool to be different.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was embraced.
Okay.
Right? And that was a bit of a culture shift.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So take me then. So like what I'm always curious about in these journeys that we go on as individuals. I think women do too, and men do too. Not all of us go on any journey because it's too hard to change. You had to do a lot of self-development, right? Even to be, learn how to be defensive in combat and that kind of stuff. What take you to a spot now where you physically got fit, physically got in a position that you knew how to defend yourself? What was the mental journey, I guess, in that sense, like that you start seeing the world a little bit different way?
Well, the mental journey was pretty much self-guided. I didn't grow up with a lot of masculinity around me. The thing about the East Indian community is you'd be hard to find any truly masculine men out there. I mean,
Hold on. I'm always aware of that. What's up with that?
Yeah, it's because everything in Hinduism, I can only speak to Hinduism because that's what I was raised in.
Yeah.
And it goes around Gandhi and peace and non-confrontation and suppression of the masculine, right? Which is why it's my belief that there are so many sexual crimes in India, because there's so much judgment on the raw masculine animal instinct, and the sexuality is everything's so repressed and judged that that comes out in other ways that are not healthy.
Yeah, weird ways.
Right.
Yeah. No, I've totally seen that actually. That's very interesting. When we suppress true healthy masculinity, you see all this pedophilia and all that kind of stuff. It's just men that don't know how to lead and show up and take control of their environment in a healthy way, now they start taking control of environments in a very unhealthy way, right? And that's what I think, that's something we don't talk about because, it's all taboo, right? We're all designed to lead, show up, take control, motivate others, be a leader, right? And when it's unhealthy to be strong, when it's unhealthy to show a level of being able to defend yourself and defend others, right? It's unhealthy to be aggressor. Well, being aggressor is not a bad thing. It's when you become aggressor and why.
That's right.
Yeah. And how to control yourself, right? Is a conversation we don't talk about. Curious on the other part when we just talked about, being bullied as a kid. How do you avoid having any hatred towards them? How'd that journey go that you at this point in time don't have hatred to how you're treated, or do you still?
Look, a rearview mirror is a rearview mirror. It's meant to show you what's in the past. You can always learn from it, but it's not something to harp on. It's not something to hold within you and not let go, so that you have a reason to be victimized and continue to be victimized.
Because a lot of people in our culture kind of stand to that. This is why I'm so messed up, because I was bullied because of this. And we live in a society where that is really encouraged, where we sit in a state of victimhood and we don't really grow from there. What's the lesson, I guess, from not, like, why would you not stay in that state? It just didn't serve you, or why?
That's a two-stage answer. Yeah. For the longest time, for most of my life, I turned into being a people pleaser.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
So I was Mr. Nice Guy, never causing waves, never causing ripples, being a good, polite person, and always just flying under the radar.
Okay.
Until I didn't need to, and then I realized that this is not serving me. I put up with.
What age was that?
Not too long ago. I'd say in my mid 40s.
Interesting.
Yeah. Until then, I think a lot of that came from me not valuing myself and not loving myself, right? I had people in my life who saw the value in me. I didn't see the value in myself necessarily. And my sense of self-worth was limited until I started really delving into, I kept focusing on what I didn't have and what I hadn't achieved, right? Instead of focusing on what I did have and what I did achieve, right? And I have some really great achievements that a lot of people, will never have in their life. But
do you have examples of them?
So I used to do photography just for fun as a hobby.
Yeah.
And someone suggested that I apply to this art gallery, the Homer Watson House and Gallery in Kitchener, to have my photography displayed. And I thought, I don't know. And it happened just by chance that I was there at the gallery for a Halloween event I had taken my kids to. And while they were downstairs learning how to make masks out of paper mache and whatnot, I was touring the gallery, and I talked to a woman there, and I said, I take some photographs, and people have said that I should look into a gallery show. And it ended up she was the oh geez, I'm having a mind fart now.
No, it's okay. The dog's barking anyway, so we got to deal with that anyways.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
The curator.
Okay.
She was the curator.
Yep.
Of the museum, and so I showed her a few of the pictures I had on my phone. And she said, "You took these?" I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Yeah, let me get you an application." And I had to do an artist's resume and this and that, and then I forgot about it. And then 2 years later, I got an email from them saying they're interested in displaying my works. So I met with the curator, and I said, "I thought you had forgotten about me. It's been so long." And they said, "No, our board was very impressed with your work. The reason it took so long is because we wanted to showcase your work alongside with Homer Watson's work. And one of the prints that we wanted to be the mainstay of that display was on loan to the National Gallery of Canada. And now we've got it back, and we want to put your work up with them in the main gallery."
Right.
And at this stage, I'm okay, this is cool, great. And then I started going to a couple of art events in town and talking to some of the local artists and photographers and stuff. And I said, I've got a display coming up at the Homer Watson Gallery. And they were like, "You do?" I said, "Yeah." And I said, that's quite a thing. And I didn't appreciate it. right? Because I didn't have that appreciation for the artsy side or
that you could actually even do that kind of level of quality of work too, right? That kind of stuff, yeah.
Right. And the other thing that blew me away is the curator said your photography was so powerful that we also had to wait, because there was the main gallery and then 2 sub-galleries.
Yeah.
They said we had to wait till we had artwork that was suitable to go up in the same...
Compete with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because your work just blew everyone else's away.
Wow.
So that was impressive. And it's just, I take things that I like doing and then I get better at them.
Right.
I've never taken a photography course in my life.
Right.
Never taken a cooking class in my life, but I started a food truck back in 2012. It was called Faux Cheesy, gourmet grilled cheese, and it's still around. It's probably the most successful food truck in Ontario, to be honest with you.
Wow.
The current owner is a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he was a chef, and he bought the business from me. I got it off the ground. It was my idea, my design, and I just... It was such a good business idea, but I didn't recognize it for what it was, right? And this is kind of what I'm saying, is that I didn't appreciate how good it was.
We don't understand as men what we can deliver in our lifetime, right?
Right.
That's the big thing. We don't understand. I always love the saying that says we overestimate what we can do in a day. We underestimate what we can do in a lifetime, right?
Right.
And when we apply ourselves, it's amazing what we can get done, right? And I think that's what you're hinting at, is that you applied yourself and you pushed yourself and you kept on applying yourself, but you underestimated what, you doing that over a period of time, the results you got from it, right?
Well,
over that time.
You see my shirt.
Yeah.
Fear is not a virtue.
Right.
I let fear hold me in place.
Interesting.
Instead of really taking what was mine and what I could do with that.
Right.
I sat in my comfort zone. I had a full-time job with a salary and benefits. And I thought, okay, well, why would I leave this to jump into the unknown? And I learned later on that that's absolutely what I should have done.
Right. You did investigations. I've never asked you much about it. What were you investigating?
So mostly insurance fraud.
Oh, insurance fraud.
I was an insurance fraud specialist as well as an intellectual property rights specialist. I achieved a designation of master investigator by the Council of Professional Investigators of Ontario. There's probably only a dozen master investigators in the province. My work has taken me all across Canada and down into the States. I was one of a handful of investigators qualified in enforcing Anton Pillar orders, which are basically civil search warrants.
What were they called?
Anton Pillar orders.
What does that mean?
So it's an order that for example, if you had a case involving some sort of piracy or intellectual property, right? You go to a judge, you do your pre-investigation, right? You gather all your evidence, and that includes going through people's garbage in the middle of the nights and building a case, right? Whether it's someone who's creating pirate satellite equipment or people who have illegal medical practices in their homes, right? You collect all the evidence, you put it in front of a judge, and you say, this is why we need this Anton Pillar order. And that Anton Pillar order allows you to knock on their door and conduct a search warrant, in effect, a civil search warrant. But unlike a criminal search warrant that you have to list exactly what you expect to find and where you expect to find it, in this case, you can seize anything that is reasonably involved in proving your case against the defendant. Right?
Got it.
Now, obviously, in order to violate someone's rights in that manner, you have to show a pretty good reason or reasons to the judge to issue that Anton Pillar order.
Interesting. I'm always curious about this one thing, and it's hard to describe this part, but I sense that you have an ability to see life a little bit different than other people. And I guess the one thing that as men, there's a book called The Mask of Masculinity. It's through Lewis Howes. And basically what it happens in that book, or what it communicates, is that quite often men get this level of ego that they sense that is who they are, right? They can be physically fit, jacked up, muscled up, or they can have a Lamborghini to prove that they're wealthy, or they can have lots of women to prove that they know how to pull women. They have a lot of women around them. And so it's kind of what you might call an ego trap, right?
Right.
What, as you went through your journey, or what have you studied on that part of your life and your journey to figure and understand what true masculinity actually looks like, and how do you identify and how do you communicate what true masculinity looks like?
I think part of the ego trap involves men, like you say, whose egos are inflated to the point where they think that what they have and what they do or what they possess defines them. And that doesn't hold true for me.
Is it true or is it not true, or is it just a you thing, or is it universal?
It's not true.
It's not true. Okay.
You can only be a masculine man if you are compared and surrounded by other masculine men. And the only way to do that is to get other men to join your clan.
So let me break this down a bit. So you can be broke, not be married, no girlfriends, not super strong, and still be a masculine man.
100%. I mean, if you decide that that's where you're going to start attaining a level of masculinity, you won't be broke. You won't be without a woman.
Sure.
For long.
That's right. Okay. But you also could choose to live a life that was, solo life and not be super wealthy. Have enough to live off of and be fine. Right. And not be like super buff, and you could still be a masculine man. Is that what you're suggesting, or what?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you chose to have a wife, then obviously that would be easily attained, being a masculine man, and chose to make money, that'd be also easily attained, and that kind of stuff. But that doesn't necessarily define it, is what you're saying.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go on. So how do you come to that realization? What is that? You're saying you need other men around you to understand and obtain that?
Yes, because everyone you meet in life is a mirror of you.
Okay.
Right? In some way, shape, or form. Everything you love about someone is within you. Everything you hate about someone is within you as well. Somewhere in there.
Okay.
And it's your job to kind of own that. And for me, this started during COVID. A lot of this, where, we're all being told by the government what to do, and we're all sequestered. And I joined this a men's group.
Okay.
That was supposed to be to discover your masculinity and share with others, right? Because
what's this men's group called?
I'd rather not say
Sure,
what it's
fine.
called.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I have some criticisms about them.
Good enough. Sounds good.
But again,
Are you part of that group now?
no.
Oh, so it started you on the path.
It started me on the path.
Got it. Keep on going. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I found out by going to these meetings of men, and during COVID, we were meeting in a park and sitting in lawn chairs, socially distanced, and talking about, and what I thought I would be going to talk about masculine things and how to bring each other forward was a handful of us that were that way, but most of them were just people who wanted to complain and whine about their life, but not do anything to change it, and were just looking for attention from
Other men.
Yeah, they were just soul suckers, right? And masculinity is, men are too busy trying to put down other men at all times, right? People say that women are catty. Non-masculine men are just as catty.
Yes, I would agree with you.
Right?
Yes.
And so if you want to be in a group of masculine men who have made it their goal to help each other achieve their highest and best, you better be 100% honest with yourself and 100% honest with them. And you better be ready to be called out, and you better be ready to call out, no matter how uncomfortable it may seem, right?
Okay,
hold
on. Let me repeat that back again. So if you want to be, and you want to realize what, it feels like to be masculine, you say you want to be 100% with your honesty with yourself.
Right.
You want to be 100% honest with the men that you're hanging with, right?
Yeah.
And you said you want to be able to call them out on stuff, be able to, and not feel like it's a catty interaction.
Right.
And allow them also to call you out and you're a bullcrap too.
Right.
Right. And also, would it be also true to say that you're also ability to communicate in those states your feelings too, or is that a space you can communicate that, or what's your?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
And a lot of people think that being masculine means you don't show emotion. That's not true at all.
Yeah.
You must have love for another brother.
Right.
Okay? And you have to show that love. You have to nurture that love.
Right.
too many men forget that. They think being macho is the same as being masculine. They're not one and the same. And so when people talk about toxic masculinity, that is just such a joke for me, because true masculinity is not toxic at all. But what I'm saying is that people have a hard time sharing with others. I mean, just 2 weeks ago, there's a bar I hang out at that I play trivia at, and my girlfriend and I shoot pool at. And there's a guy I know there, he's a regular, and he looked like something was on his mind. And I've known him for a few years. And I just went up to him and said, hey, is everything okay? And he said, yeah, I'm fine. I said, look, you can talk to me. I don't judge. Whatever's bothering you, you got to get something out. I can tell you're visibly disturbed. And if it's something I can help you out with as a fellow man, I'm happy to listen to you. And then it all came out. And by the end, he was so grateful. He had tears in his eye. Yeah, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. He gave me a big hug, and he said, this is what real men should do for each other.
100%.
And I really believe that.
No, I'm the same way as you. I'm pro man. You know, I'm here to help my brother, because as soon as we can help each other out in a true non-catty, man-to-man, direct conversation, understand your feelings, understand your emotions, you understand my emotions, not in a gay or weird way, but in a true, sincere way, then we can make a big difference in this world, right?
100%.
And when we are fighting against each other and that kind of stuff, I know women do that, but that's a different story, a different topic. But when we avoid that, and we're actually true and honest with each other, and we can have those honest and sincere conversation, we can really grow, right? And I think that's a lot that has been missed in our society, because, you know, I don't know what your experience was, but when I got married, I didn't really focus on friends. I didn't really build a close friend group around myself, and I didn't really know what it was. And I think a lot of guys don't have that. You know, they don't have that in their life. They're out there trying to please their wife all day long, and they don't know what it is to actually create that, you know, true connection with another guy, right?
And that's one thing. But also the other thing that men do is they tend to create the wrong connections with men for the wrong reasons.
True.
Right? There are I know thousands of people, but there are very few people that I allow into my inner circle, right? And I had friends that from high school or from years ago that I called friends, and just because I'd known them for so long.
Right.
But that really didn't serve me.
Yes.
And this journey that I spoke of that started a few years ago started with kind of eliminating people from my life who I didn't serve them and they didn't serve me. It's not just they didn't serve me, I didn't serve them. And it was just basically a false friendship where you go out for drinks, you talk about bullshit, and you talk about other people, and I grew out of that.
The conversation is superficial.
That's right. It's very just vapid speaking, just to hear each other speak.
Right.
Without any depth or soul to the conversation.
Yeah, interesting. And so then you lack honesty, you lack direction, you lack focus, you lack purpose in those conversations. So therefore, the relationship can only go so deep anyways to begin with.
That's right.
That's right. Interesting. So you went to this first group. What was your progression from there? Did you go to another group of men afterwards? Did you seek that out? What would that look like?
No, actually. So I said there was a few of us that were like-minded.
Yeah.
We kind of sort of formed our own group.
Okay.
And we started meeting. And we started talking about issues about masculinity and how to help us develop each other's masculinity and support it, right? It's not a go out and do this, you'll be masculine. You need input from other men, from real men, who care about your well-being and care about you achieving your highest and best. They have to have something invested. And if they're investing themselves in you, it's only fair that you invest yourself in them.
Right.
And it has to be that two-way street. Right? Another big thing is mentorship. So you saw the gun range I work at.
Yeah.
All my guys are younger than I am.
Interesting.
And a lot of the guys I've hired are not your typical people that you would think would work in a gun store or a gun range, right? But there was something I saw in them, right? And
they also wanted to be mentored, I assumed.
Everyone does to some level, don't they?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Right? They just don't know it, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's I think it's an urge that's deep inside, and a desire. People want to, I don't know. I don't know of a lot of people that said, hey, I'm just going to go out on my own and do everything without listening to anyone else about anything at all, right? So there's that.
Maybe at 17 or 18 you might do that.
Maybe, maybe. Like one of the guys that I hired for the gun store, he was, my girlfriend and I know his mom, and he, he's a little bit on the spectrum.
A little bit,
yeah,
a little bit of autism.
And he, yeah, a little bit of autism, and he'll admit it.
Okay,
we talk about it openly. That's another thing is stop tiptoeing around these things.
Right. Yeah.
Admit it, accept it. Yeah. Who doesn't? Who's not got a bit of autism to it? I do. I certainly do. And he basically, his life was playing video games, right?
Okay.
And he was obese. He didn't have social skills, and I hired him to work in the store, and I had people say, oh, yeah, I don't know if this is a good idea, and blah, blah. Sure enough, he's turned out great. I've seen him mature over the years. I've seen him develop as a man and a human being to where he can relate to people who come into the store and have conversations with him. He doesn't get all nervous and flustered. He knows his stuff. This guy's been reading about firearms since he was a kid. And if I have questions about old firearms and military firearms, because that's not my purview, he's my go-to guy. And he's what, 21, 22, right? And that's the other thing about mentorship is, sure, be a mentor to someone younger than you, but also let them mentor you in ways that you may not know,
right,
or may not be aware of, right? And I'm so proud of this guy. He just got accepted to law school. He's going to law school in the fall. He's dropped 50 pounds.
Wow.
Like,
how's he done that?
Just from his eating habits.
Just from eating habits?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What'd you tell him?
Well, it wasn't necessarily me. I mean, it was myself and another guy I work with. We're starting to eat healthier, and I just noticed he would eat huge portions of food.
Yeah.
And when he realized that he could take, and he's a bit like Jared from Subway in that he'll eat these sandwiches every single day, day in and day out. He makes his sandwiches, he wraps them in tinfoil, he puts them in the toaster oven, and that's all he eats. And they may not be the healthiest sandwiches in the world, but they are far better than what he used to eat, and the results are evident. Every time, I see him on Sundays, because he comes in on Sundays. Every time I see him, I can see he's lost a little more weight. And he's stuck to it. And whatever tism he has, that gave him that.
Helped him out.
It helped him out.
Yeah.
Right?
Hyper-focused.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes people's weaknesses are strengths, vice versa.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. So these, I think a lot of men, they're raised fatherless homes and that kind of stuff, and maybe sometimes they're not. They still need advice, need direction because they didn't have the father. Men in their 20s, 30s, you see where they're at today. What advice do you have?
That's a good question. I don't know. Disconnect yourself from social media, first of all. There's a lot of crap out there on social media that makes people do things to get recognized and I was guilty of that too. I'll be the first to admit that. I used to post things all the time to get likes, and forget that. The only person that needs to like you is you, right? Work on that first. Get likes from yourself before you want to get likes from others, because those likes from others will naturally come when you show up in their space as someone they like.
Sure.
And I don't mean like as in, like I said, I was a people pleaser my whole life. Right? You need to be tough with people. You need to tell them what they need to know, but you also need to take criticism yourself and learn from it.
So they go away from social media, which I can understand. I agree. They have this free time now. What are they going to put their time towards then if they go away from social media?
Do something valuable. Take up a sport. Take up a martial art. Take up firearms. Do something that will bring you with other men, and in a way that's fulfilling for you. Now, my girlfriend's going to laugh when she hears this because I'm not a sports guy.
Yeah.
I have no interest in sitting around watching sports, or I'll watch the finals of the hockey game. I'll watch the playoffs, whatever. I watch when my girlfriend or my son was in sports. I would watch them play. I have no interest in team sports.
Sure.
It's just not me.
Yeah.
Right. But I'll spend a whole afternoon on a gun range with the boys. Right.
Your 20s and 30s, would you recommend finding like-minded men in that age, or do you go because older man that might have some things figured out in life, what are you recommending there?
100%. When I was that age, I looked up to, there was a guy that he had a garage. He was a mechanic.
Yeah.
And I met him through a friend, and I used to go in and help. And I'd be wrenching, and I learned so much from him about rebuilding cars and working on cars. And I pretty much, just the other day, I fixed my dentist has a Porsche. And it's an older one, a 1980, vintage classic Porsche, one of my dream cars growing up. And he's done some work for me I'm grateful for. He doesn't charge me sometimes. And he had an issue with his car, and he was going to take it in. And I said, I'll fix it for you, right? And I did. And it was such a good feeling because, you know, here's this guy he's a dentist. He's doing very well for himself. But he did me a favor. And so I'm returning the favor by doing something for him that he needs.
Who would ever assume that you could do that with a dentist, eh?
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Right. And so there was, growing up in the Indian community, right, and the Indian parenting style, it was, okay, you need to be a doctor, lawyer, pharmacist, engineer.
Right.
That's it, right? We didn't see the value in being a plumber or an electrician or an auto mechanic. But these are the things that drew me. I'm great at fixing. I can fix pretty much anything, from computers to electronics to appliances to vehicles, right? Because I like working with my hands and I like troubleshooting. But those were not given to me as options growing up because they were not what we considered to be the thing to do, right? And so where I'm going with this is a lot of people are all about the shine and not the substance. It's not what a person does. It's not how much money they have. It's what can I give to them and what can I learn from them? That's how I see things anyway.
Interesting. What culture do you relate to most now?
I think, so I did a stand-up comedy routine a few weeks ago, and I said this, that my friends call me a coconut because I'm brown and hairy on the outside, but I'm white inside because I love guns, dogs, pickup trucks, motorcycles, muscle cars, country music, right? These are all things that typical East Indian guys are not into, right?
Right.
So I think I kind of gravitate towards the, if you want to call it the redneck culture, yeah, for sure.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. What's your thoughts about, you know, as you know, our culture has got more sexualized and that kind of stuff. A lot of men, you know, porn's been more readily available to men. Obviously, it's on social media. It's on, you know, your internet. It's readily available 2 clicks away.
Right.
OnlyFans have blown up. They're making money, you know, and you know, it's all you're doing is all virtual, which sounds crazy. And how does it affect, you know, masculinity in general? What have you seen? I'm curious what you've noticed or seen in that area.
The first thing I would say to people is that porn is not real. All right, it's superficial. It's fake. That is not a representative of a proper man and woman relationship. My girlfriend and I tried watching once, and we laughed. We laughed because it was just fake and vapid, like we had discussed before. I also think it's desensitizing, and I think
desensitizing in which way?
In that if you're you know, a guy who's been watching porn and going to OnlyFans, and then you want to get into a relationship with someone, and you want it to go from 0 to that's not going to happen.
Right.
Right? Where are those steps where you get to know someone, right? And you have that connection of the mind and the soul and the heart before you have the physical connection.
And that's probably happening on both sides. Probably men don't understand this. Both the women are becoming desensitized and men are becoming desensitized in sex in general.
Right.
I would understand that, right? And so, as I understand, I think women are watching a lot of porn too nowadays, I believe. I've heard that.
I don't have any evidence of that, but
yeah,
that's interesting.
I would assume so, since the fact that, you know, they've also become more masculine in their approach of how they relate to day-to-day stuff.
Right.
What other things do you think, other than, you know, becoming desensitized?
It's not a representation of the real world.
Right.
True sexual gratification does not happen by doing the things you see in pornography.
What is true sexual gratification as far as, in your view, as a man? How should it be looked at?
It's sacred, for one, and it's a connection thing. It should be a deep connection with that other person that is felt within you both and is reciprocated. And I don't know, it's funny, I don't talk a lot about sex other than people in my close circle, because I feel that a lot of men talk about sex and joke about it and brag about it. And those are usually the guys that don't get it. And they're usually the guys that aren't getting it, right? The one who talks the loudest about their accomplishments or their conquests. And, oh, yeah, I did this and I did that and then I did this. Yeah, dude, that's not where it's at. Get a real woman who loves you, and this will be out of this world.
And how would you know a woman loves you?
That's a good question. You feel it. You know how I mentioned to you how you just connect with people who are like-minded?
Right.
You know, when you find that person, you connect with them, they respect you. Sorry, I'm going to back up a bit here.
Yeah.
So, number one, be a gentleman. Hold doors open. Carry stuff for her. Be that man. I don't buy any of this stuff that I don't need my door open for me. I'm a capable woman. And my girlfriend, I open the door for her everywhere we go. No matter what, even if it's pouring rain outside, I will walk to her side, let her in before I get in. It's the right thing to do.
How long have you known your girlfriend for?
We've known each other for probably 12, 13 years now.
And how long you dated for?
I'd say 6 years now.
Oh, wow. So you still open the door after 6 years, so it's still something that's important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, keep on going. I'm just wanting to.
Yeah. She's something else. But she's open to that. She likes it.
Do you think all women like it?
They're being told not to like it.
But do you think down deep they like it?
Of course they do.
Okay.
Who doesn't want to be treated with respect by a gentleman?
Right.
Right? Anyone who says they don't is lying to themselves. It's just little things. I'm trying to think of there's a term that's escaping right now, but it's you might have to edit some of this.
That's okay. That's all right. Don't worry about it.
Chivalry.
Chivalry, yeah.
Chivalry is lost.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And it's those little things.
Why do women care so much about that stuff?
Well, women, good or bad, women tend to want to look for a man that reminds them of some way of their father, right? And like I said, good or bad. So if their father was an abusive who treated their mom poorly, then that's what kind of person, because that's what they're comfortable with. That's what they seek out, right? But if they had a father who treated their, and again, there are exceptions to everything.
Sure, yeah.
And it's kind of like the saying that men always get in a relationship with women hoping they'll never change, and women always get into a relationship hoping that they can change the man.
Right.
But neither of those ever works.
Right.
Right? But I think that real women desire a strong masculine man who they know will protect them, right? When the chips are down, they will fight for them, they will stand up for them, and they will stand up for others and stand up to others for them and other women, right? I don't think there's a woman out there who, you know, if something went down and their man took off and left her there, thinks that's a good thing. I don't care how big the other guy is.
Right. Right. Your relationship over the last bunch of years, has it got kind of stayed neutral? Has it got better? Where does it stand over the last bunch of years with your girlfriend?
It's exponentially grown.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Why has it got better? What about you do you think has anything to do with the fact that it's got better? Is it to do with her? It's about you? What's changed?
So I'll tell you a little bit of history. So when we met, we were, it was a client relationship. So she's a lawyer. I was an investigator. She would hire our firm to do the investigations. That's how we got to know each other.
Yep.
We started going out for lunches, and we got to know each other well. And of course, I thought she was attractive. She's beautiful. She's 11 years younger than me. But she was 11 years younger than me. She was married. She had 3 kids, and she was a client. So it was hands off. And it was all just business, always. Until one day she said, I'm attracted to you and I have feelings for you. And I just thought, wow. And I've asked her over the years, I go back to that, say, why me? You literally could have any man you wanted. Why me?
She's from East India too?
No, she's not.
Oh.
She's not. She's Scottish and Christian Lebanese.
Okay.
I said, why me? She's way out of my league. Even my friends will tell me that, right? And I agree with them. And she said, there's just something about you. There's something about the way you treat other people. There's something about how fair of a man you are. Because we were on the board of directors for the Ontario Insurance Adjusters Association together. So we worked together a lot. And she, and I never clued in. And she said, I've been sending you signals, but I never clued in because, like I said, back then, I didn't love myself.
Right.
So it wasn't in my realm that this beautiful, successful lawyer would be interested in me, right?
But there's a level you had to been showing up at that point in time still, though, even though you didn't necessarily love yourself the level you needed to.
Yeah, and that's something she will say is that, I just felt it when you were around.
Right.
I felt safe.
Yeah.
I felt she's had a lot of men within this organization too who have been pretty right? Men can be dicks to attractive women, to any woman, right? And she's seen a lot of that, and she's like, you never ever treated a woman or anyone like that. Like you were a safe place. And this was proven when she had too much to drink, myself and someone else drove her home to make sure she was safe, right? And she said, I wouldn't let anyone else do that. And this was before I knew she was attracted to me, right?
Interesting.
And she just felt this, whatever is the same thing that we talked about earlier, and I'm not talking about in a gay way.
Yeah.
Is that you just have a sense of someone.
Right.
That, hey, this is someone that I can connect with.
So what's the takeaway for men? Like you talked about something pretty important. You found a girl that was very attractive, successful, 11 years younger, and wouldn't necessarily be the ideal person that women probably would say, hey, I need, you're the man, right? 11 years older, you're the man. I'm not saying you're not good looking. I'm not saying all that kind of stuff. But the point is that that's not necessarily there in the cards yet. For some reason, she was attracted to you. And I always question women, their idea of what good looking is, because I question if it's actually looks or if it's actually this sense of protection, provider, caring for a personality that the man has, or that personality that aura they give, right? Because I feel like women think with their heart and their emotions rather than men are more logical in that sense. So how they're looking at looks is more on an emotional sense and a logical sense also. Not that it wasn't logical, the fact you find something that's a provider and protector, but it's something that they feel more than they actually, cross things off. Is he 6 foot plus because he can actually physically, if the guy's 6 foot, but he's weak and he's frail and he's not a provider and he's not a protector, he doesn't have that energy, because I think there's an energy involved in a man that's a protector. I don't believe it's just that the fact that he's physically fit even, because I've noticed in the past, even myself, that women will sense and know the synergy of a protector, right? And so I kind of notice this thing. So when you're talking to young men or men in general, what's your advice as to feel or to be that type of guy? Like, what does that look like? So that they could also, because everybody's looking for connection.
Right.
Everybody's looking for a relationship.
The more you look, the less it'll come.
Say again?
The more you look for it,
Right.
the more elusive it becomes.
Right.
Be yourself. Act with integrity and honesty.
What if being yourself is being a beta?
I don't think that's any man's true self.
Okay.
I think that's a program, much like you run on a computer, right? You need to get rid of that program and go back to the basics. And I'll tell you that you're right about the physical quality of someone. So when she confessed these feelings towards me, I was much bigger than I am now. I wore a 42-inch waist. Now I'm down to 36, and I had quite a lot more fat on me than I do now. You're right. It's not about physical. It's this feeling they get when they're in. We all give off vibes, right?
Yeah.
Or an aura, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And perceptive people can pick up on that.
Women are more perceptive than men are too.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but this was, and so you started this down this line of questioning with, how has your relationship changed? So here I was, this guy who didn't have a lot of self-security or self-confidence, with this beautiful woman on my arm everywhere I went. And my insecurities led to us having issues. I was threatened when other men talked to her. I was, and just my own insecurities led to a lot of issues in our relationship. But as the relationship developed, and she has insecurities as well.
Of course.
Right? And as our relationship has developed, it's been through a lot of hard work and conversations and honesty that we're at the point where we can say, hey, look, it doesn't matter. And my friends, again, they laugh at me when they hear about how insecure she is about losing me, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's a joke to them. In fact, we just talked about it Sunday after work. They were like, man, you got to be kidding. But once you find that connection, that relationship, and you nurture it and you watch it grow, and you realize that this oak tree is not coming down. No one can bring it down except you or I. So let's not do that.
Do you think if you lost her, your insecurities would come back?
No. If anything, if I could find someone like this, if I can do it once, I can do it again.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Huh. So what would you give the 3 rules to a man in a relationship? What would they be?
Well, honesty is 100%.
Honesty with her, with you, with
Honesty
everybody?
with, again, just like when you want to talk to another man and you want to bring both of you forward and upwards, you have to be honest with each other.
Yep.
You have to be honest with the person you want to spend the rest of your life with. 100%.
What other things?
And you have to, rule number 2, be a man. Do those things that I mentioned earlier. Be chivalrous. Stand up for her. Be protective. Be there for her, right? Women have a lot greater emotional need than men do. So fulfill that. And I guess it goes along with the honesty, but the integrity. Show her that you're a man of integrity. And make it part of your life in a way that is easily recognizable. Because when a woman sees a man whose integrity is intact, now by integrity I mean doing the right thing even when you think nobody's watching, right? However that may appear to you, act in integrity. Women love that. They will pick up on it. In whatever, a few weeks ago I was at the grocery store and I was using the self-checkout, and I went to take my receipt, and there was $80 in the cash dispenser there. And I thought, so I took the money and I went to the customer service desk. I said, so someone left that in the machine. And she was shocked. She's like, oh, wow, that's really nice that you're returning. I said, well, it wasn't mine. I didn't. It's someone else's who probably needs it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Integrity at all cost.
Interesting. It's interesting you talked about emotions, right? And women being I don't know, more feelings, more emotion, however you want to look at it. But I think it's also what balances us guys out. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that's something that's really not talked about much, is that their emotions and our lack thereof is something that balances us out as men. It kind of, I say balance, like we go out all day, we pursue, we execute, we get things done, right? And in the day, having a woman beside us that is a little more emotional, right, kind of balance that side of us out that says, oh, you're chill here too. Right? It doesn't become, you don't become like feminine, but it kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Kind of like.
So this is something that ancient cultures have discussed forever. For example, yin and yang, right? The masculine and feminine have to work together. And as a man, our quality should be mainly masculine, but that doesn't mean there isn't room for duality.
It kind of softens us.
Right. We need to have, our job is not to, it comes down to what I call proper order, right? And it comes down to, yes, if I believed that the mother should raise that child, that doesn't mean that myself as a father can't show that child love and affection and nurturing, right? Mm-hmm. We all have to have that duality within us to fit together like yin and yang.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So on the other topic for women, I think women have a responsibility of showing up also, right? And I probably don't talk about it much. What would it look like from your point of view over your experience? When are women showing up? And if not, how would it help if they were to show up properly?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm at the age, I'm 52 years old, right? So what I would look for in a woman is maybe it's different than what someone younger might look for. But one of the things that irks me the most is when I see grown-ass adults acting like children or making immature decisions in their life. So for me, it's a very big attraction when a woman just makes good choices and is thinking about things and how that, how those choices will affect her and the people around her. And then that goes totally against the whole feminist mentality that women, shouldn't follow rules. Well, these aren't rules that anyone has written. They're rules of civilization. They're rules of culture. They're rules of nature, right? And so if you've got a female in your life that's just constantly toxic and hanging around toxic people and gossiping and on social media and getting drunk, and that's not attractive to me.
So what would be the three things, if you were to break it down to three things, what would be the rule for a woman to show up in a relationship?
For women or men?
Yeah, women.
For women, be loyal.
Okay.
Be honest. And display love for mankind, for me. It's just love for everyone. Again, the women want to get in that competitive cattiness. I'm better than this person. And women are guilty of that too. They'll drag each other down rather than help boost each other up. Right?
I sometimes feel more sorry for women in the concept of friendships.
Right.
I think they struggle almost even more to have true, honest friends than men do, because they're so competitive. Women are very competitive.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Curious now, a lot of these, relationships, despite, our good or bad intentions as men, we're in situations where we're not necessarily in, the same relationship we were married into, and then their children are not a part of it. How do we show up as men, as fathers, now for our children that maybe not are in a life all the time?
So it doesn't, first and foremost, I've always believed this, it doesn't do your kids any good to be at war with their other parent, right? So when my ex-wife and I split up, and our kids were young, 5 and 7, we made an agreement that we were not going to use the kids as pawns. we would co-parent them together, and we would show people that just because two parents aren't together under the same roof doesn't mean they can't parent, right? And I think, unfortunately, one of the most toxic things that is happening to young people who come from broken homes, which obviously the numbers are higher than ever before, is that those parents are still battling and feuding each other, and that's a lot of negativity and negative energy that affects the children.
Yeah. So let's assume that you're in a situation that was your best intention. She's just difficult. She's making your life as much of a life of hell as possible. What would your rule? What would your takeaway be? What would your direct message be to that guy?
Hold your ground. Be who you are. Don't give in.
Right.
If the chihuahua's barking constantly, you don't bark back at it. Be the man that you know you are, and your kids will naturally see. If they don't realize it now, they will in the future.
Right.
They will see that, oh wow, this person is. When they could have done this, they could have behaved that way, but they didn't. Right, and that speaks to integrity as well.
Right. So men aren't holding their ground enough in those situations. You're saying. No, and they're barking back. They're being catty themselves, is what you're suggesting.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I want to give you another example of so my ex-wife started dating a guy, good guy. Yeah. I liked him, and we would. My ex-girlfriend and I, and my ex-wife and her boyfriend went to a Jays game together. We did New Year's Eve together. Right. He was a good guy. I liked him. My kids were spending time. They spent most of their time living with her. And so I had friends of mine saying, hey, that guy's pretty much raising your kids when you're not around. How do you feel about that? And I said, well, kids can't have too much love. And if I'm not there, and that person is providing love to them, I'm thankful for that, because it could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
The guy could be 100%. An asshole, and no, if he was a good guy, he practiced hockey moves with my kid. He was involved in them, and he was a good person. Kids can't have too much love. There's no such thing.
Right. That's interesting you see it that way. I also see it that I think a lot of fathers forget that your kids will never forget your biological father or biological mother. You see people that are adopted, and they're like 10 years later, 20 years later, and for some reason, down deep inside them, they're out there trying to find their biological father or mother. Right. It's in that innate persona who they are. So I was at this program. Interesting fact about me. There was a time my ex wouldn't let me see my kids, and so I kicked the door down. It was probably my not so best moments, but I drove 2 hours, 3 hours to pick my kids up, and I want to pick my kids up, right? But anyways, I had to go through a program, and I called it the Angry Dads program, right? Because all these men were there with anger issues and that kind of stuff, and so what I realized were that these men were sitting around so angry about their exes, and they didn't realize that, eventually they're going to come back to see you. And if you haven't done any personal development of who you are, they're going to see a crappy guy. Right? So they're going to eventually come back to see you. Eventually. 18, 25, 30.
Yep.
And a lot of these guys were saying that when they eventually met their dad, they realized how much a loser he was. These guys. And I'm like, guys, wake up.
Wow.
Are you going to be that loser like your father was? That when you go back out and you find your father, that he's going to be as much a loser as you are, right? And so it always left me a message, right? People, more is caught than taught, right? And kids they'll catch what you're not saying.
Right.
Or they're going to catch what you're saying no matter what.
People underestimate how perceptive children are.
Right. Yeah. So that's my hope too. You talked about your daughter being more liberal and that kind of stuff. All you can do is hope and pray that, that she'll see the truth, down the road someday.
That's it. Right? There was a period of time where she didn't speak to me for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And it hurt.
Yeah, of course it does.
And I sent her a couple of heartfelt emails.
Yeah.
We were like best friends before that. And then it was in the middle of COVID and the BLM stuff, and just everything came to a head.
Yeah.
And I didn't grovel. I didn't. I said, when she's ready, she'll come back. And she did, and we talked. Now she's a tattoo artist. She did this tattoo for me, and I'm very proud of her.
Yeah.
And you're right. They will come around.
Yeah.
Or they won't.
Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, they'll respect your values that you stand on. Even if they don't come around.
even if they don't agree with them.
Yeah, you
They'll
don't agree.
respect the fact that you
Yeah.
stood by those values.
That's right, 100%. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I agree with that. So, when we're young, we have a lot of energy. We have a lot of ambition. And sometimes we get confused between that momentum, that energy versus discipline. And I guess my curious question is how do you look at energy versus discipline? What's more important in your life today? The amount of energy you have or the amount of discipline you have? What's the hardest thing? What's the most thing you most focus on, and why is it most important?
Oh, at my age, I wish I had more energy.
Right.
Right? And I think they're part and parcel. I mean, if you had the discipline, you could create more energy, right? If you had the discipline to go to bed at a good time and eat right and go to the gym and do all the things that you should be doing, you're going to have more energy.
Right.
So I don't know that they're disconnected or you have to pick one or the other. I think that they're intertwined.
And younger men, what are they? Probably the biggest struggle when you're younger is discipline, though, right? We kind of gain that over time as we get older, right? We understand and appreciate that a little more, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, live your life, but I run into people that I went to high school with or college with, and they're like, "Oh man, those were the best years of our lives," and I feel sorry for them because I'm living the best years of my life now, right?
Why? Why do you think the difference is? Why are you living your best years of your life now?
Because that's what I'm creating,
Right.
right? So you decide when you want to create that. There's nothing wrong with having a great, when you're in your 20s and 30s, have a great life. But there's no reason it has to fall off. Increase that greatness. As far as I'm concerned, you should always be living your best life now. There should be nowhere ever that you say, "Oh, those were the best years of my life." No. Create it so that these are the best years of your life, here and now.
And if you're not, what are you doing wrong?
You're not listening to yourself. You may be listening to others. You may be, outside influences. But if you don't really feel within yourself that, wow, I love my life, right? It's not possible for you to love everything about your life all the time.
Yeah.
But if you're not, wow, you know what? There's a lot more good in my life than bad. Then you need to make some choices and changes.
What do you think a guy that's not living his best life today? What do you think what mistakes has he made over his time period? What kind of life is that guy living? If you look in your mind's eye, that guy that's not living his best life, it was a past or it's hopefully the future or one of the other. What's he doing wrong in his life right now? Or how's he living it?
It comes down to who's he living his life for, right? If you're living your life to impress others or to live to other people's standards or to emulate people on social media, if it's not aligned with and if that's what you want to do, if that's what you honestly, truly, that's a life you want, then you're going to do that, and then fine, be happy doing that. But whatever it is you decide will make you happy in life, take active steps every day to ensure that you're working towards that.
Interesting. We have these conversations right now. It's peculiar. Like you would think that everybody should kind of be aware of this kind of stuff, like it's basic stuff. Do you think it was always this way, that we're so far removed from what was basically foundational to good relationships, to masculine men, to healthy, women, and where they stand and where they live in life and they go through, or is this became worse, or what do you think?
So
happening?
For me, I had an aha moment several years ago. There was a time, growing up, we had Charles Bronson, Clint Eastwood, Chuck Norris, John Wayne. We had all these really masculine heroes, right? Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and some of them are still around doing great things. But somewhere along the lines, things change, and the only way I can identify for me when it was is, so back in the 90s, Friends was the most popular show.
Right.
Everyone dropped everything to watch Friends on a Thursday night, right? Yeah. And I loved it. I admit watching it all the time. But after I kind of got this idea of what, when I look back, I can see that's where it went wrong. There's not one masculine individual
on that show,
lead character in that show. They're all effeminate guys who really have no handle on masculinity. And when we start emulating those guys instead of the guys like, and I'm not saying, oh, Chuck Norris, you got to go out and kick people's asses. No. But I think that you can see the decline where these heroes, that these masculine heroes that we had as kids have kind of disappeared. Now, I think that's changing. I think that people have had enough of the woke culture and the woke nonsense.
Why have they had enough? Who's changing it? What's happening? Is it young generation? Do you think it's the young generation that's starting to change that again?
I honestly do.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Honestly do.
Yeah.
I think the youngest generation, they've realized that, well, this doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't. It doesn't feel right. When they released that Top Gun, the Top Gun remake a few years ago, right? And I thought, oh, great, another Hollywood. I'm not a fan of Hollywood. I'm not a fan of celebrities. I'm not a fan of pop culture.
Yep.
Celebrities and they mean nothing to me. They have no bearing on my life. So I certainly don't listen to them when it comes to them telling me how to lead my life. But so when I saw that was the movie Top Gun was being remade, I thought, oh, great. But that movie was great, and there was no wokeness to it, and it broke box office records. That tells me that people are coming back around. And
they keep on trying to push the woke narrative, and those movies fail continually.
100%.
It's weird, eh?
Yeah.
They really want to push that agenda.
Yeah, they do.
Huh.
They do.
That's interesting. So,
and you look what's going on with Hollywood today. I mean, the P. Diddy trials, and everyone wants to be so approved of by these celebrities. And look at what's going on. They're a mess. It's a show. Hollywood's a show.
It is.
So why do young people look to them for guidance? It's always confused me.
Yeah, you wonder where the what's it called? The manipulation or the encouragement that is focusing everybody in that direction, right?
Right.
Very interesting. Gun culture. You're big into guns.
Yes.
It's not a big part of Canada culture. Big in the U.S. I'm not big here in Canada. What's your take? Why is it important to you? Why would you encourage it in general? So,
it's not big, but that's changing too.
Okay.
I just read a statistic, an article about the number of new gun owners in this country has risen and climbed for the first time in decades.
Okay.
More people have gone out to get their firearms licenses, and whatever that reason is, whether the lockdowns did something to them, it could be something easy. Like, for example, I've had guns since I was 18.
Okay.
All right, and I've always said, well, if the world collapses, I'm fine because I have guns. I'll go out and hunt
whatever.
I didn't know the first thing about hunting.
Right.
Right. So I took I got my hunting license a couple of years ago, and I took some hunting courses, because it's one thing to have firearms and say, oh yeah, I can hunt deer. Well, if you've never done it before, you don't know anything about it, you're going to starve.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's one thing that happened is a lot of people saw what we went through the lockdowns and said, if this were to continue or go worse or take a turn for the worse, there may be a point in time where I have to rely on my own skills to feed my family.
Yeah.
And I think that is a large increase in the number of people who have applied for firearms licenses lately.
How's that philosophy or that direction in life affected or benefited, or however you want to say, as towards your journey as far as understanding, what it is to be masculine, or does that have anything to do with it?
I think it has a lot to do with it. Let's just be honest. Shooting guns is a masculine thing.
Right.
Right. It doesn't get any more masculine than that, as far as a pastime that really, you can't have a weak constitution and be good at shooting.
Right.
Right. You can't be jumping at every shot that goes off.
Right.
And I think that if what I'm seeing, if the trend is correct, I'm seeing a lot of young people come onto the range and show an interest in firearms and getting their licenses, which is great. I mean, both my kids were shooting from a very young age. Unfortunately, neither of them got their licenses. My son still comes out with me once in a while, and he was scheduled to get his license, and then COVID hit, and so the class got canceled and all that, and he just hasn't had the time to do it again. but it's very encouraging, and I love it when I see people, in their late teens, early 20s, come into the range and express an interest in firearms. I provide them with as much as I can, to the point if a person I went to high school with, their son came in recently, and I said, hey, look, I'm so impressed that you have taken an interest in this. If you want to come out shooting anytime, you let me know. I'll bring my guns to the range. You just buy your ammo. I'll show you how to use them. I do that quite a bit.
Interesting.
For anyone who wants to, I used to post on when I was using Facebook more. I used to post on there that, look, if you or anyone you know wants to experience firearms, reach out to me. I'm happy to take newbies to the range and show them and teach them. Firearms have been vilified in Canada, right?
Why?
Because guns equals bad in most people's eyes, right? Which is why I love working at the range as much as I do. I see that switch. I see those people who come in and they're timid and they're shy and they've been taught that guns are bad and that we should be afraid of them. They come in, they do a shooting package with us, and they leave with this massive smile on their face and a whole new appreciation for the shooting sports. And the icing on the cake is when they say, how do I get my license?
Right.
This is a person who their whole lives thought, well, guns are bad and I should be afraid of them. They took that step to come out and experience it, and now they want to get into it with both feet.
Interesting. That gun range, was that yours? Do you own
No.
it? No. So we were there. It was pretty interesting. It was awesome because a different range of guns you shoot with.
Right.
What are all you shooting with there? What's the abnormal that you don't typically find in anybody's gun cabinet that you're finding there? What are you shooting with?
Well, so now that doesn't happen.
Okay.
Because of the latest gun ban.
Okay.
The assault style weapons ban that the government put through, banned a lot of firearms on how they looked.
Okay.
Right? And the fact of the matter is a firearm is a firearm is a firearm. We don't refer to them as weapons. They're firearms. They're tools.
Right.
Okay? This tool can do this. This tool can do this. If you want to be brutally honest, any firearm is capable of killing someone.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what it looks like.
Right.
But they have taken a bunch of these firearms, which I have a few of them, several of them, and they've made them prohibited, which means that people like myself who've been gun owners I'm going on 34 years now that I've owned firearms, have invested a lot of money into their sport, into their hobby. And we are now being told that because of crimes and criminals, these firearms are going to be banned. Well, how many of these firearms kill people? No, it's not about that. It's about making Canada safer. Well, they're not making Canada safer. They're simply taking gun owners. They get vetted daily. Every 24 hours, their name gets put through a background check, police background check, to make sure that they didn't do anything the night before.
How many crimes are created by gun owners like that go through gun courses?
Very, very, a very small number. I can't give you an actual number.
So you
or
say
a
the majority has gone through people that illegally come by these guns?
By far, crimes are committed by criminals. Gun crimes are committed by criminals.
Right.
Not honest gun owners. People like myself and other gun owners I know, in fact, we go over and above to make sure we don't do anything to jeopardize losing our firearms.
Right.
Right? And that may come down to when you're in a bar and you want to, get into a fight with someone, you got to think twice that, hey, is this going to result in me losing my firearms?
Because can it?
It absolutely can. You get charged with assault. They can take your guns away from you.
Oh, well.
Until that is sorted out, and good luck getting them back. Especially if you're someone like me. I have a prohibited handgun designation, so I have handguns that are considered prohibited because I owned them before they became prohibited, so I was grandfathered.
Right.
If I did anything in my life to jeopardize that, I would, even if they took all my guns away till things were sorted out, I'm never getting that designation back. It's gone, and so are the guns with it.
Right. Interesting.
And it's sad, though, because if my son or my daughter were to get their firearms license, I can't even pass down any of my pistols to them. I cannot export them. I cannot send them to my sister in Florida, for example.
So basically, after you're done, they get thrown out.
Yeah. So
Dismantled.
I either have to donate them to the gun range or they get destroyed.
Interesting. Relationships, on a different topic. Relationships don't last that long. What do you suggest to men? Are they the ones, the caretakers of relationships, or is it men? And how do you create a long lasting relationship? Knowing what you know today, would your first relationship have made it?
My first relationship wouldn't have made it because we were not compatible.
What does that mean? Not the same values? What does that mean?
I think we both just settled back then. We were young. We got married not because we knew we were perfect for each other and wanted to spend the rest of our lives with each other. We got married because everyone else was getting married.
Right.
We had kids because everyone else was having kids, right?
Right.
We weren't soulmates or anything like that. It was just something, But I think that if any tip I can give to men is don't get complacent. All those things that you did to get her and keep her, keep doing them. It's I know we're talking about the masculine, but part of the masculine is showing how much you love someone and not being embarrassed to show it and
Have
say
fun with it. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And-
Go on the dance floor even if you look a little weird.
Right. I took
Have fun.
dancing. We did couples dancing, and we did a showcase where we danced together.
wow.
Right. If you would have told me 10 years ago you're going to take dance lessons, I would have said, no, you're nuts. You're crazy. But we do everything together. Everything. And whether it's shooting, I've been in relationships before where I need to go out with the boys. And that still happens. I still do go out and do my thing with the guys, but it wasn't because I want to get away from her.
Right.
It's because I want to spend time with the guys.
Right.
And we literally, we go shooting together. We go, cruising down the Grand River, floating together. We go out to, we have our guys' nights and our girls' nights, whatever. But other than that, we're close. And you, like I said, just don't give up on those things that you used to woo her, because then you're being fraudulent.
Right.
You're using those things to lure someone in, and then you have no intention of being that person that they fell in love with for the rest of your lives.
Yeah. I love this, saying I made up was that people don't mind so that much that you get played. It's when you stop playing them. Right. It's
right.
like if you're like you're saying, if you've done all that to rizz them up, now you're not doing those things, then of course you can't be sustained. I mean, that's why they're attracted to you, right? Because you showed up in that way, right? And I think honestly, the beautiful part is there's some nuances that you got to figure out, but a lot of stuff is repeatable, right? The way you show up as a man is repeatable. You can teach the next guy how to show up. There's some nuances about love languages and that kind of stuff, but the basis of how to show up for a man is you can repeat it over and over again for the next guy too, right? You talk about chivalry. I mean, you talk about polarity. You talk about that feeling of protection and caring for and looking after and respecting, understanding your emotions and not arguing with your wife and that kind of stuff and showing up there as a man. I mean, those things are pretty repeatable, right? That will work no matter what. Are you religious at all? Or do you go to church? Do you do any of that kind of stuff?
Not actively. I'm very spiritual.
What does that mean?
It means that I believe in a higher power, and I believe that I believe in souls, and I believe that in karma. I actively, believe that you do good unto others, and good will come unto you.
Is it hard to have no what I call them, like foundational law-based belief, religious, and still have one? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, or is that, do you know what I'm saying? Because then you just try and understand what the government has for laws, and you have to sit there and debate if they're right and wrong versus having some kind of religious belief. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think
then you sit there and debate on
people overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
When a salmon is going back to spawn, it doesn't need directions.
Say again.
When a salmon
Yeah.
goes back to spawn,
Right.
runs up the river
Yep.
to where it was born,
Yep.
it doesn't need directions. It doesn't need someone telling them how it's done. It's something that is within them.
Right.
And it should come naturally. And I think it's the same for, I don't care what religion someone is, the values are the same, right? And those values are what make human beings, what they separate us from animals.
Right.
And those
Say that one more time.
Those values is what separate us from animals.
Yeah.
Right? And those values have to be innate. And they have to be within you, and you have to be open to receiving those signals. Right? And I have nothing against organized religion.
Sure, no.
Because
unless
maybe people need help.
Unless they corrupt people.
Right. Of course.
A lot of them do.
Right, which people use religion to
Yeah.
corrupt and to take advantage of people, 100%.
Right. Yeah.
But for me, it's like I personally don't feel the need to spend Sunday mornings on church. It's kind of like a country song. One of my favorite lyrics from a country song is, I'd rather be in a boat with my mind on God than in church with my mind on fishing.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that godliness should be a part of who you are no matter where you are.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. Interesting. Mr. Man over there.
I think we touched on about everything.
Yeah.
There was something else that I wanted to bring up.
I'll tell you. I'll read out what the list was, and maybe it comes up to you.
No, it's just like I was going to go to it, and then you.
What was it about?
You
I
changed
can bring it back.
It was about relationships and
relationships last long. Is that about that? How they make them last longer? Or we didn't talk a lot about. We talked a little bit of fatherhood, ego trap, leadership. Let me read them. We took gun, modern masculinity. We touched on that. Power of brotherhood. We touched on that. Relationships that last.
Oh, okay, yeah. So one of the things about, how do you keep that spark alive, right? How do you just keep doing what you did to impress that person, like I said. But stop looking, be in integrity about your relationship with that person. If you've told that person that, look, you're the one I want to be with for the rest of my life, actually be that and live that and display that and show that. Don't be looking at other women, right? Right in front. Look, every guy looks at other women. They just do. But women can tell when you're doing it. Don't be fooled. They might not let you know that they notice, but they notice. So if you want to be with someone who you want them to stick around, look, this is all dependent on what you want out of your relationship. If you're always looking for the next best thing, and that's who you are as a person, then you're going to behave that way.
Right.
But if you're 100% focused on, this is the person I want to be with for the rest of my life, then be it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
And you will get it in return.
It's an interesting concept. Yeah, when you're looking, I won't lie. There's been a time in my life that I was always looking for that next best thing, and it's really harmful for the relationship. And if you are that, then don't get married, right? Until you got that out of your system. I think it's a thing that you get out of your system because you actually don't have clarity of what actually a healthy relationship looks like, and so therefore you're always pursuing the next best thing, right? And it's a good point you bring up. About that. It's there's a difference, like you said, all men look at other women. Right. It's not what we don't look at it. We look at like we look at art, right? It's like we look at it and like that's beautiful, right? But there's a difference between looking at it and saying, hey, I want that for myself. Right. Right. And I think there's a big difference, and women can feel that difference too.
100%. You can appreciate something without being lecherous about it.
No different than a woman can say that looks like a handsome man, right? It's just the same kind of concept can apply, and you can debate if that's true or not, but there's a difference for sure. I like that. It's a good point. I never spent much time thinking about that. I know it's true, so that's cool. That's awesome. I appreciate you coming out here. I knew, we sensed it right away when we went out to the gun range that you were a type of dude that would show up in a podcast like this and be able to share your opinion and have some wisdom, which shouldn't be as rare as it is, but it is. And you do have the wisdom behind you. You have the experience. You have that soul behind you that went through some stuff, right, and stopped and thought about it. And that's rare also, which isn't common. It needs to be more common where people sit back and figure things out. And I think, you know, as much as you can be, and hopefully you will be in the future, be a mentor to other men. And even this podcast, that's the idea of it, to be a podcast of mentoring younger men or men in general, how to show up, hence the name, ShowUpNation, right? Helping men to show up and what it looks like. I love the fact that you show what it is, the masculine side, but show what it is that, you know, when you do show up as a masculine man, a lot of things come together in your life, you know, your women, your life, your lifestyle, but also that you have that other nature that you can be comfortable being in a zone where you're learning how to dance, you know, something simple as that, right? And you're not ashamed of it. You're like, I'm cool with that. Yeah. And I've noticed men that are in that zone, they're totally comfortable doing that kind of stuff, you know, making a fool of themselves and not caring, right? Because they're not there to prove it to anybody anymore. There's no one to prove, right? Other than you, yourself, and God, you know, and that's it, right? And I love the fact too, you mentioned too about, would you go back to your insecurities if you didn't have the woman you have today? And it's the same answer that I always get from men. Of course not. And the other way, you might be even more secure, right? Because you're very clear. It wasn't who made you who you are, and it's not who's going to make you who you are beyond her, right? Right. And so that's beautiful. Again, I want to thank you for coming out.
I want to thank you for having me.
Yeah, no,
and look, everything happens for a reason. Right. The people that come into your lives and that you connect with, you meet with, there's a reason for it, right? Yeah. And I'm happy to have met you and your crew, and yeah, so thank you.
No, of course. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful thing.
I just want to a couple more things.
Yeah,
just two more points.
Of course.
You can put these in wherever you want.
Yeah.
But here's something fun. You know, when you say go out and dance with her, right? I'll show you the video. It's amazing. Yeah. Right? It is really amazing. Yeah. This is crazy. And my guy friends make fun of me. Some of them get it. The ones that are secure, they get it. Yeah. But the friends that I work with that, you know, we don't have these conversations with, they think it's weird or it's corny or it's gay. Yeah. But her and I match when we go out. Yeah. Right? We'll match our clothing.
Oh, wow.
And people notice it. Oh my God, you two match. Yeah, we always do. Right? And the guys who don't get it are like, oh, that's gay. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I don't care. Yeah. I'm secure enough. I'll wear bright flowery shirts with pink flowers on them.
Nice.
I don't care. Yeah. Because I'm secure enough in my masculinity and my relationship.
That's
right?
Cool, yeah.
And you'd be surprised how many women comment on, oh, wow, that's really cool that you guys match.
They can feel it, right? They can all sense it. Yeah. They can all feel it.
And another thing I will say is that if your relationship was way better back here, but now it's here, and you wish it was back there, there's something wrong. Yes. You need to make sure that your better is constantly better, and it's getting better. Yeah. Fighting and arguing is not wrong, and it's not bad. It's healthy for a relationship. It means that the couples are speaking what's on their mind, as long as you do it without being nasty and mean, right? People, you need to have debates and arguments and fights to evolve your relationship so someone is not holding stuff bottled up inside.
Who's responsible for keeping it from getting nasty, I mean?
You are.
You as who?
You yourself are responsible for...
The man or the woman?
Whoever, on both sides. Okay. Right? Yeah. You just don't go there. Sometimes you go there. And if you do go there, in the midst of the heat of the moment fight, you go down that road, you damn well better call yourself on it the next day, or whenever it is you reconciliate, and you better acknowledge that you said things you didn't mean to say, and that you're sorry for saying them, and you realize how hurtful you were. Right? Yeah. It's very important. If you're nothing in life that's worth it is easy. Okay? And nothing in life that's easy is worth it. So if your relationship, you think you've got a good relationship because you have no waves, I'd say that you need to explore a little better your relationship.
Yeah, no, I'd like that part. You know, I've done it many times, and I think a lot of women don't allow men to fail. Right. We have to have moments of failure where we can show how we show up. Right. Again, we need to have moments of failure where we can come back and apologize. Yes. You gotta allow that for us, right? If it's in our family, if it's our children, don't intervene. Let us go all the way to failure. Right? It gives us our opportunity to show up how we can apologize, how we can correct ourselves. Right? It's our moment to show up. Right? And
that we've realized that we messed up.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
because there is no right or wrong. Right? Everyone judges ourselves. We judge ourselves too harshly. Whatever you did or didn't do, it's not right or wrong. It just is, and it happened. But the fact that you realized you did it and you're owning up to it is important.
Yeah. There's one part that's interesting about the arguments. I actually have found, because a lot of women do argue, your girlfriend's a lawyer, so she might take arguments a little bit differently. But I find a lot of women argue in a sense, on an emotional sense. So I always caution men ever to argue with women on that sense, because a lot of times they're trying to express their feelings, right? And so I typically don't argue with women, because I allow them a moment to vent, even if it's about me, right? And I encourage them not to argue for that sake, and also for the sake that, you know, as a man, you're supposed to lead, right? And so if you allow her to argue for a bit and to complain, I don't say argue because it takes two to argue, but to complain to you, just take the beating for a bit.
Yeah.
Because you're the one that makes the last decision anyways. Allow her to vent. Allow her to beat up on you a bit, because she's trying to express her emotions, and quite often women don't do a great job of that. She'll be complaining about this, but it's actually this over here, right? And so maybe she's angry with you, but maybe down deep she's hurt, and you got to get back to that hurt part, right? Because all the rest she's saying is just, you know, venting, right? So I tried to avoid that for a large part, but if your girlfriend is a little more logical, then it's okay, you know.
You're absolutely correct. When that fuse is lit, and there's no better way to describe that, is when that fuse is lit, just take cover and take what's coming to you, right?
Yep.
Because in that moment, using logic and, you know,
arguing it out
is not going to work.
No.
Right? You have to wait till that calms down and then say, look, honey, this is where my mind, this is how I see it, and this is how these are the reasons why I acted the way I did, or I did what I did, or the way I see it. But in that moment, you're right.
Or even sometimes I just say, don't just take it in, give her a hug, and move on.
Sure.
Because you'll find out that she'll sit back and she'll think about it. She'll spend, like, women are always in their head, right? Yeah. She'll spend the rest of the day thinking about what she was saying, all that kind of stuff, and before long she'll be coming back to you and apologizing, trying to make it right with you. Yeah. And you just moved on as a man, right? If you want to beef out about it, call your buddy up and tell him how much, you know, she's being a little to you or whatever, right? And move on. She's not the person to vent back at. You know, go to your buddies and vent to them. Yeah. Right? She's not your vent, right? Take the heat from her, have your guys that you can share with, and move on, because she'll really respect that as a man, that you could take that heat. Right?
I agree. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks, Manish, for coming out.
Thanks, Dave.
It was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's it. That's Show Up Nation, and hope you loved it. If you could put comments below, if you didn't like it, we'd always love to hear that too. And hit that like, subscribe, and we'll bring the next podcast to you shortly. Thank you.